we're not live, but we've been promoting this thing as if it was going to be a live showing up.
Yes, sir.
And I'm glad that you are back, bro. We were talking about it offline that my man's last appearance here was episode 48.
Yep. First 48.
The first 48.
Yes, sir.
And it was a great conversation. So for those who are new, for those who've been following us for a minute, this man does not need a reintroduction. If you do need an introduction, go check out episode 48.
Yes,
links in the bio.
Yep.
But how you been, bro?
I'm good, bro. Taking it one day at a time.
Yes,
staying out of
sir.
trouble.
Yes,
staying
sir.
out of these streets.
Staying out of these streets, because these streets will call you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had a hell of a week. I had a hell of a week, bro. But, the devil's a liar.
Yep.
We can't allow outside noises that are irrelevant take you off task, take you off, take you off mission.
Bah, bah, bah.
But yeah, shots were fired, bro.
You know what we're talking about.
They was fired, bro.
We at your head, son.
But I told these boys that I wear Teflon Holy Spirit, and he protects me at all times. And I'm not going to give too much energy to what had transpired earlier this week because I'm off them. But it was crazy, and it just kind of tells you that. And I had a conversation with Jojo offline too. Like, the enemy utilizes people who are willing to feed into narratives that are divisive to the community.
That's so true.
You know what I'm saying? And us as a church community are not exempt from that type of noise, from that type of drama, from that type of heinous narratives that may be pushed by quote unquote haters, quote unquote naysayers, whatever you want to call it. But they're not finna play me.
No.
They're playing themselves.
Congratulations.
So I got that for
you
them.
played yourself.
You played yourself.
So I'm off that. I'm not going to continue putting more energy in that because we out here. And we in the building. I'm going to start using my entire...
It's a pleasure to be here. I just want to thank the audience. I want to thank my mom first and foremost.
Mama, I made it!
We made it back on Kingdom Talks. What,
Back
48?
48.
22 episodes? 20?
Yeah, it was a big gap, man.
I forgot about me.
Yo, Zeke got to be here more often.
I know.
And the door, I always tell you, bro, the door's always open.
I appreciate it, my guy.
Door's always open. I got to get Jojo behind the camera, too. Jojo's in the building, running 2 cameras today.
Get a small...
He's running the 4K camera.
Yeah.
He's running the camera for the show. He's on task today, too. But yeah, last episode that you did was 48.
Mm-hmm.
Great episode. So shouts to the new viewers. Shouts to the last viewers.
Right.
First time viewers and last time viewers, because sometimes this podcast may not be for you, and I'm content with knowing that fact that this may not be for you, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. So shout outs to first time viewers and last time viewers, because you may not want to rock with me anymore, and that's okay because there's plenty of podcasts out there for you guys to indulge in.
That's a fact.
I got to stay on my lane. I'm not trying to be like someone else. I'm not trying to be like any other Christian content creators out there. But shouts out to all you Christian content creators that are out there. I do follow some of them on YouTube. I do check out a lot of different content that is out there.
Right.
But I don't try to mimic or do something that they're already been doing. And I feel that you have your audience, I have mine, you're a fellow content creator.
Shout out to my audience, man. I love you.
Shouts to the for the followers
Right.
out there that are
Love
following and supporting. And yeah, man. So what's new? What's been going on before we dive in?
Thriving and surviving, my guy.
Thriving and surviving.
Figuring out this thing we call life and
Yeah.
keeping my head up at the same time.
So how's your week been?
It's been good. Not as eventful as yours, but a little less noise, a little more work. But it's been good, bro.
It's good.
Happy to be here. Happy to be alive.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm excited for today.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We've been promoting it on social media because we just felt like we needed to push it out there to let people know we're going to be having pretty sobering conversation, pretty deep conversation, pretty heartfelt conversation, because this is kind of close and near to both of our hearts because we have a similar yet different stories when it comes to mental health. When it comes to suicidal thoughts and just mental health in general. And we're going to be speaking to it's going to feel like we're speaking to men out there, but this is for everyone. No one is exempt from struggling with thoughts, struggling with mental health. Women struggle with it as well.
Right.
But statistics do show that the suicide rate is much, much higher in men than there is in women.
Right.
But again, whatever you ladies that are listening and tuning in and follow the show, don't press pause or stop this. Continue to listen to this, because I do feel that you ladies are going to take something away from this.
Right.
So, as I said, like we are going to talk mainly about our personal experience with mental health, and being that we are men, we do identify as such.
Right.
And we identify as men, but most importantly, we identify as men of God.
Right.
And we're just ready. I'm ready to have this conversation, because I told you offline that I wasn't too vocal about my experience that took place about. It'll be 13 years this June.
Right.
When I was struggling and in a really dark place. But before we get to all that, I just want to give shout outs to some people, because I haven't done that in a while. And I want to give shouts to people who really do support, you guys that slide in my DM and just encourage me. So I just want to do that real quick. And those are just, are always contacting me and always encouraging me.
Right.
Those are the real ones. So shouts to my boy Johnny, my boy Chris Johnson, my boy Mike B, the homie Nessa, I love you, girl. Ivana, I love you. Angie, my cousin. Christine, which was on the show and talked about her story, which was amazing. It was an amazing episode. So shouts to Christine, Tyler, Caleb, Pete, Nikki, Jessica, Tivo, love you, bro. Niza, I love you. Heather, my cousin Richie, and the list goes on and on. I'm just really humbled and just overwhelmed with the love that I get, the support that I get, because these DMs do something to people, bro.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And I used to not care so much about quote unquote checking in. Like I really, like back in the day when I wasn't really into the whole, mental health thing and, I can do me, I don't need nobody kind of attitude. I really didn't believe in that until I started doing life in the Christian world.
This is true.
And I started kind of diving in deeper and deeper into the faith walk, and then I started realizing that these people like to communicate. You know what I'm saying? And for me to communicate with other men at the time was foreign to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because my communication with men was just sports, locker room, quote unquote locker room talk.
Yeah.
But I like to converse with women because I was a man.
I feel that.
And I like to have conversations with women.
Right.
And I always wanted to, converse with women because I was brought up in a household where my dad was constantly working and my mom was at home and my mom was working too, but my mom would always engage in dialogue. And that kind of gave me like a upstart onto how to speak with women.
Right.
Because you speak with women in a different tone, in a different, the mannerisms are definitely different.
Right.
And especially if you like the woman, you're going to speak in connotations that are going to lead to other things.
That's right. That's kind of how I'm talking now. Real Rico Suave.
The soft voice. I don't have the Barry White voice, but am I wrong though?
No, that's right. 100% right.
So I just felt like it was foreign to me, and so when I started entertaining the idea of like, okay, let me get into a men's group, when I was going to Omega Church at the time, here in West Palm, it was foreign to me. It didn't even feel good initially. Anything foreign is not going to feel right.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just didn't feel right. I felt like I was out of place. I felt like I wasn't, that I was just kind of like an outsider. and that maybe I was going to be judged. And that was just my introduction to doing community like all these churches encourage you to do. Like, if you're part of a church, your pastor, your youth pastor, your elders, they're going to encourage you to get into some type of community. So we're going to talk about that, but mainly we're going to talk about mental health, suicide, and all those things. And if there's anything you want to touch on before...
just sharing my experience. If we're just hopping right into it, I want to let the listeners know online. The first thing I want to say is, if you do not check your mental health will check you. This is how it works. And as a man, especially in the Afro-American community, that's not something we talk about. When someone's going through something, the first thing we say is, he'll be all right. Or he's just down right now. He's going to get back on top. But the reality of it is he's depressed and he needs to get help. And that's kind of what I want to cover today. Yeah,
for sure. It's going to be a difficult conversation if I'm going to be completely transparent.
Right.
Because as much as I tell myself, I'm not ready, I'm never, if I keep that attitude, I'm never going to be ready.
Right.
And I'm never going to free myself from that shame, from that guilt even, to do that. But before we do, I like to do like an icebreaker thing, because I didn't do this with you last time you were here.
Crazy. See how they treat me, man.
Yeah. So I want to do some icebreaker stuff.
Okay.
Some polls, some scenarios, and just kind of massage the brain a little bit before we get into the deep stuff.
Let's do it.
So poll questions for Zeke are real easy, bro.
Okay.
All you got to do is tell me one or the other.
Okay.
And you can't say both.
Okay.
That's the only rule. You cannot say both.
Done.
All right?
Easy.
So this is going to range from culture to hip hop to food to destinations.
Now, do I tell you why?
You're going to have to tell me why.
Okay.
All right? Okay. So Christmas or Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving. Easy.
Why?
Food.
Oh, yeah?
Free food, community, and Christmas lately in the society has been centered around gifts.
Right.
Nothing to do with Christ or anything of vital importance. Just gifts.
I feel that. Okay, great answer.
Free food.
We're hitting destinations. Ready?
Okay.
And even though these destinations you might not touched yet, but we're gonna put it on the bucket list.
Okay.
All right. All right. Here we go. Costa Rica.
Okay.
Or Greece.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, because they're both exotic. And I seen some dope reels on these vlogs that I see on these travel guys. Wow. Greece be looking like a vibe. You gonna put me on a spot like that? You can't say both, bro.
Okay,
let's do. Your boy was in Costa Rica, Joash. Shouts to Joash.
Shout out to Joash.
He's a supporter. He's doing a thing. He's doing his thing right now. Love that guy.
Let's go with Costa Rica. Shout out to Joash.
Because Joash went.
Let me follow in your footsteps.
All right,
he's 8% body fat. I want to get to 8% body fat.
I know that guy's a freak.
He's a freak.
Nature. Okay. Now we're getting to hip hop.
Okay.
We're gonna go with Lil Durk or Lil Baby.
Lil Baby, easy.
Why?
Lil Baby is 100% that guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he is the new talent for this generation.
And it's funny too because I forget what podcast it was that I was listening to. It might have been Drink Champs, and one of the guys said that Little Baby for this generation, that's following my generation, Little Baby is their Lil Wayne to our Lil Wayne.
He's the truth. Hey, Lil Baby, if you listen to this, man, you the truth, bro. And
yeah,
I would love some.
And this is no shade to Lil Durk.
Right.
Dirk comes out with some heat, with some fire, and he does have, good features.
Good features. I was just about to say that.
He has great features. His body of work, not so much. I can't go through an entire Lil Durk album.
Right.
Like I can get to an entire Drake album or a Lil Baby album.
Yep. Lil Baby.
So yeah, definitely Lil Baby.
Easy.
Okay.
Wasn't he just the artist of something? Artist of the year? Something
like that? I think so. On the BET Awards, was it? Mm-hmm. I forget. I can't keep up. Okay, here we go. UFC or Bellator?
UFC.
Yeah, that's another easy one.
Who is Bellator?
Bellator is like their competition.
Oh, I don't even know who these guys are.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bellator though.
Yeah. Tacos or pizza?
Pizza all day, every day.
You're not a taco guy?
I've never had a good taco.
Really?
Had a good taco. No space. Oh, you good, bro?
So you've never been to a place where they serve good tacos?
No, I've been to Atlantic Ave. Taco Bell.
Where in Atlantic? Oh, the El Camino in Atlantic Ave.
Yep.
You don't like their tacos there?
No.
Wow.
No.
I
wasn't a fan.
I think El Camino has pretty decent tacos.
Pizza.
Jojo goes to one on Military, right? That you always rave about. What is it called again? El Rucon? Yeah.
What is it called?
Rucon.
Rucon.
Yeah.
Rucon.
All right, so you're a pizza guy.
Yep.
Any pizza in particular?
Pepperoni.
Simple guy.
Simple guy.
I like double cheese, but that's just me. All right, here we go. Lamborghini or Porsche?
Let me get the Lambo.
Lambo?
Let me get the Lambo, man. I've never been inside of a Lambo, but I'm going to go with the Lambo.
Got it.
I feel like it would fit me.
Okay.
I'll take both of the Lord. I'm not picky.
Cardi B or Nicki Minaj?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Here's the thing, man. And I was telling somebody this the other day. It's artists like Nicki Minaj who paved the way for Cardi B. Okay. It's artists like Nicki Minaj who paved the way, just female rappers. But as far as who is the better rapper, I'm going to have to go with Cardi B.
As far as lyrics?
Just who has the better flow, the cadence.
The artistry.
Yeah, but who has the better body of work? Nicki. She's been on the scene longer.
Yeah.
Y'all better not forget Young Money. Y'all better stop playing with me, man.
Yeah, and I think I definitely respect Cardi B's come up, the way she came up, because she was actually the viral Instagrammer when it was not even a thing.
Right.
Like, she came up on Instagram. Someone took a look at her and said, "Hey, we can use you. Let's put you on a show." And then she ended up in Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah, she's the truth.
Yeah, and then she became this character in Love and Hip Hop, and then how she was moving on Instagram, she got a record deal, which is crazy. And she held her own. So yeah, I respect her grind, her story, and her come up. So yeah, for sure. Mornings or nights, my friend?
Nights.
Nights, and why?
I'm a midnight man myself.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, man. I just.
Do you feel like you get a lot more things done at night?
I'm like Batman at night, bro. I just get the job done, bro. I'm literally Batman at night. But seriously, I'm more productive at night.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the total opposite. I feel that at night I like to wind down.
Really?
And just not do too much critical thinking, not do too much, because I always do it in the mornings.
I get off work at 10, so my brain. 10
oh,
PM,
so yeah, you're a different.
So my brain is still moving.
You're on a different. Yeah,
at 1,000 miles per hour.
Yeah. You're on a different. Yeah, you're on a different scale. I think that was it. Hold on, I think I got two more maybe. All right, this might not apply to you, but he's out there, right? Bad Bunny.
Okay.
Or Daddy Yankee.
Daddy Yankee is an OG though.
Yeah, he's an OG.
But I'm gonna go with Bad Bunny.
Yeah, because it's what have you done for me lately?
Right.
And Bad Bunny.
I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds good.
He's everywhere too, bro. He's in WWE.
Yeah, that's true.
He's in people's podcasts. He's doing random concerts in Puerto Rico at a gas station. Like, he's doing it all, bro. And he's in movies. Bullet Train was his recent.
Is he a good actor though?
Yeah,
it was good. JJ said it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Bullet Train was the last actual work that he's done. It wasn't a big role, but he was still in it, and he did a decent job. And he's definitely not ashamed to represent where he's from. Mm-hmm. You know, he's Puerto Rican through and through, and he's a wild card, to say the least. I mean, he'd be saying some crazy stuff for sure. And he's not afraid to push the envelope, and you can only respect that type of courage, because it takes a lot of courage and a lot of fortitude to do the things that he does, even through the political correctness right-wing culture that this country tends to subscribe to,
Right.
He doesn't care. He's like, you can call me gay, you can call me this, I paint my nails, so what, kind of thing.
Right.
And you got to respect that, because he knows at the end of the day he's a man and he likes women.
Right.
Does he clickbait a lot? Yes. People do say that he queer baits. That's a thing, where he's queer baiting,
That's a new one.
where he tries to act as if he is queer or gay just for the attention and to push numbers and albums and so on and so forth. Because the more mouths your name is in people's mouths, the more money it generates. So
Right.
that's genius in his part, I feel like, anyway. But it is what it is. Last one,
Okay.
and I need a real why answer.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Here we go.
Loyalty or respect, and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. Loyalty or respect?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go with respect.
Ooh. Okay, tell me about it. Let's talk about
If you
it.
respect me, you'll be loyal to me. But I can't guarantee that your loyalty comes with respect.
True.
The loyalty sometimes is associated with fear, right? So sometimes people are loyal to a job, but only because they have a fear of losing that job and not being able to get a better one. In relationships, people are loyal to that person, even if it's not going well. I would rather want your respect, because with respect, I believe loyalty can come as a side dish, if you will.
Yeah. I rock with that.
I appreciate.
I rock with that.
Right.
And and my little take is you don't necessarily have to be loyal or have an allegiance with someone to respect someone.
Right.
Forever, when I was younger, for example, till this day, I'm still, and Zeke knows, JoJo knows, I'm a huge New York Knicks fan. I love the Knicks through and through.
Bless your heart.
Yes, thank you, because there's a special place in heaven.
6 other people.
There's a special place in heaven for us Knicks fans.
Right.
All right. And in the 90s, because obviously I'm a little older than you guys, in the 90s, Jordan used to break my heart every year.
Okay.
You know, every year. I never pledged allegiance to Jordan when it was happening in real time, but I respected his grind and his game.
Right, right.
But I was not loyal to him because I was loyal to the Knicks. So that's how I see it. People who respect Donald Trump's grind, come up, and work ethic doesn't necessarily have a loyalty or an allegiance to him because of the extra stuff that he brings with his baggage that he carries.
Right.
But I do respect the man for his way of thinking, his way of doing business, his way to generating money, and his way of, having the wherewithal to make things happen for his brand.
Right.
And so I respect that, but I'm not aligned with some of his rhetoric. I'm not loyal to him because of the extra stuff that, that he brings. So I'm on that side too.
Yeah.
I think respect for me is very, very important because I used to have a past where I dealt with a lot of street dudes, and street dudes would go to jail and end up being in prison because of a lack of respect.
Right.
Because they felt disrespected in the streets.
Right.
And it ended up sideways, and it ended up going left, where because of quote unquote disrespect and feeling disrespected, they ended up in prison. So it's respect for men
It's a necessity.
It's a necessity for a man.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to be respected.
Women prefer to be loved. Men prefer to be respected.
Right. That's another thing, man. I don't want to say love and respect are synonymous. I don't want to say that, but I believe if you truly respect someone, you have an admiration for them.
Correct.
I don't want to say it's an unwavering love, but it is some type of love in the form of respect. And I think as a man, we have to be respected. We have to be respected by the people within our households, our community, the kids who look up to us, this next generation. I think respect is something that people are searching for, but they just don't know it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've actually had a conversation. I forget who it was, where we were talking about that briefly on a podcast. I don't know if it was with Tyler or Chris, but we were talking about that. We were talking about like, hey, you know, a lot of us have a lot of miscommunications with the opposite sex because we don't know one another's love language.
Right.
And it's so important to know your partner's love language,
Right.
your counterpart's love language, because if she doesn't like to be filled up all the time because she prefers quality time, then you're loving her incorrectly, and you're not going above and beyond to know that.
Right.
And so you feel that she's not reciprocating the love that you expect back, and that's where the tension starts. So I think it's important to know what the love languages are and what you're dealing with. Like me, for example, and we'll get off this, but me, for example, my love language is words of affirmation.
Right.
Talk to me nice, and I'm gonna talk to you nice.
Talk to you nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
So talk to me nice, and I'll treat you nice.
Yeah.
You know, I love to be affirmed. I love to be encouraged.
Right.
It makes me feel good. And so because it makes me feel good, I'm going to love you how you like to be loved.
Right.
I don't necessarily have to affirm all the time because maybe that's not your thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and there's a lot of misunderstandings because of the lack of communication.
Right. And they say our love languages come from what we didn't receive as a child. So I think that's why mine are words of affirmation and physical touch, because I come from a household where you'd be lucky to get a hug, right? And as far as words of affirmation, if you do something well, they would say, we expect you to do that.
Yeah.
So you were held to a standard, and love was just shown differently when I was being raised.
Me too.
To now. It's rare. I think it was when I first started going to Anchor that a man told me, hey, bro, I love you.
Yeah.
And I just kind of looked at Pastor Sean like, what you mean?
Yeah, shots to Pastor Sean.
Love Pastor Sean. But I realized that it's okay to tell another man you love him.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to let people around you, your loved ones and the people you care about, let you know you love them, because as we're going to talk about today, that could be the last time you see them.
And look at us potting. That's a segue right there to the conversation.
Let's do it.
A professional podcaster right here, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, man, I don't like to toot my own
Episode 63. I titled this "Protect Your Brain."
Yes,
it's a play on words because, again, I'm a man of a certain age. Wu-Tang Clan was very prevalent coming up.
You don't know anything about Wu-Tang Clan, my boy. So your time.
So Wu-Tang was definitely prevalent with me coming up, and they had a song called "Protect Your Neck."
Yep. Protect your neck.
And so I just felt like, and I'm a big hip hop head. I will always be a hip hop head, Christian or not.
Right.
I'm a hip hop head. I love the culture. I don't subscribe to the ideologies, but I love the artistry. I love the fact that it's freeing, and they use their freedom of speech to convey a message and convey a story. And with the stuff that I grew up with listening, a lot of them were all storytellers. And it's like watching a movie. If your favorite actor was Al Pacino, Tom Cruise, Steven Seagal's, Bruce Lee, whomever, they played these characters that were over the top. You know, Al Pacino was a gangster.
Yep.
Al Pacino played Scarface. Is that Al Pacino? No, he's a humble man that has a family, and he's a good guy. Same thing with rappers. Or rappers in their artistry, they were the news anchors of what was going on in the streets. They reported the news that CNN would not report on. And they put it on wax, what they used to call on record. That's what NWA birthed. The NWA felt like, hey, you're not speaking what's going on in our communities, so F the police, we're going to talk about it. And we're going to use our rights to talk about it because this is a free country. Now, do words come with a cost? Absolutely, because it could cost you your job. It could cost you your identity, your integrity, your character.
So true.
And sometimes it'll cost you your marriage if you're not careful and you're running in different scenarios where your words can cost you. Although it's a free country and you have the freedom of speech, it always comes with a cost. So yeah, that's why I love hip hop. So I Protect Your Neck was a dope song, and I was kind of thinking of a episode title because I knew you were coming. So I like to have titles to my episodes.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, Protect Your Brain would be a dope.
Protect your brain.
Would be a dope title for this episode, only because we do have to protect our brain, and the ways that we have to protect our brain is by holding one another accountable, but also protecting each other and allowing us to get into safe spaces like this room and talk about our feelings, our struggle, and what it is that we're dealing with, because no man who's doing life, especially in the Christian world, should be doing life by themselves, should be dealing with their thoughts by themselves, because your own thoughts can lead you to treacherous places.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So, and it's to kind of piggyback off what you said, man, is we live in a culture today that promotes the hyper-masculine man. We want emotionless men. We want conditioned men who believe a certain way, think a certain way, and act a certain way. And these are the words we use, but it's like you said, our words are free, but how we use them may cost us. And it goes back to the saying, it's like we have to be careful what we're telling one another. We have to be careful how we treat one another and how we see one another. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today in my own story. The first thing I thought about Protect Your Brain is I thought about the Trojan horse. I'm sure you're familiar with the story, but the Trojan horse was moved inside of the camp, and the wise old man said, hey, don't move it. I feel like that's me, bro. I feel like during my time of depression, I allowed my outside thoughts to get within me. And the same thing we do with the common culture today. We allow culture to dictate our life. We allow society to tell us what's next in life. And that's what happened to me.
It happens to all of us. Because again, we, as much as social media, as much as the internet world is such a good thing for society, because it's definitely helped a lot of people become who they are today without having a degree. And I think that's amazing. I feel like we are living in amazing times. It's an amazing time to be alive in 2023.
So true.
Because social media can be an outlet to push positive narratives. Yes, is the culture using social media to push other things that are not fruitful for our young people? Yeah, we have to battle that. And I'm just kind of echoing what you just said. Culture will dictate how we should walk, talk, feel, and even move around in life.
So true.
And then and for men especially, they call that an alpha male. But my friend, an alpha male isn't that, my friend.
Yep.
Isn't that at all.
And often, bro, we blame social media. I was telling a friend this the other day. We often say, social media is such a horrible thing, but I want to challenge everybody, and it's a really easy question. Who created social media? People.
Yeah.
Who runs social media? People. And the truth of the matter is, like I've always said, you either run your social media or your social media runs you. Right? So I believe we have to take the power back in social media. Right? We have to change the algorithm. If Instagram isn't going to change the algorithm, you have to change the algorithm yourself. I realized on my page, I don't see the stuff that other men see. So I don't see naked women or this guy fighting this guy. I see positive things. And it comes to life. Whatever you look at and subscribe to in life is what you'll see. So I think we have to work on right now taking the power back against social media, because social media isn't the problem. It's the people controlling the social media that are the problem.
And I think you have a responsibility as a grown-ass man.
That's a fact.
To control your Instagram. I'll be the first to say my Explore page was looking kind of crazy.
It was getting a little wild.
It was getting a little wild. Especially during COVID when the world was shut down and you were bored. And then you got caught up in your mess. And then you started scrolling too much and started dabbling into yoga pants here and fitness girls there. And then your algorithm started turning crazy where you start seeing booty here and girls bending over trying to pick up a kettlebell there. And I'm just like, whoa.
Not the cheek galore.
Yeah, seriously. Like, it's getting a little too cheeky out here.
Right.
It's getting a little too cheeky out here. And so I found myself like, wow, like, let me pump the brakes a little bit, because it's making my head, because back in episode, I want to say 8, around there, episode 8, 9, or 10, I did an episode with my boy Mike Bryan. Shouts to Mike Nils. Mike Nils was actually his rapper name. Mm-hmm. He used to dive into rap back in the day when we were younger, and his hip hop or rap name was Mike Nils, and he struggled with pornography.
Right.
I also struggled with pornography, and I always talk about this because I'm not ashamed of it. I was really addicted to porn. Like, I was socially addicted to porn. I had to watch porn every minute that I got a chance to. When I was bored, I was watching a scene. I was addicted so much to porn that I almost got fired from a job that I had at the time a few years back because I almost got caught watching pornography on the clock by a supervisor. And in that moment is when I said, wow, I needed this scare because it's exposing the issues that I have.
Right.
And then I started diving into that. And I started seeking help, seeking counsel, talking to my pastor that was my pastor at the time at this church that I was going to.
Right.
And I had to really, tackle that. And it took a while. It definitely took a while to see what that problem was and identify it in order to kill it. And you couldn't just kill it from the surface level. You had to literally uproot it from your heart, from your soul, from your spirit. And that's a process in itself. Mm-hmm. And we talked about that on that episode, so feel free to check that out. I think I called it Addicted to Pornography, I think. But yes, so a lot of it is our responsibility. You have to take ownership to, because I'm mainly talking to 25, 35, 45-year-old men, according to the statistics and the data that I collect because I'm a content creator, so I got to look at the data.
Right. I
got to know my audience. Mm-hmm. My demographic is from 25 to 45.
Yep.
So I'm talking to 25 to 45-year-old men out here who are struggling with certain things, whether it be mental health, whether it be pornography, whether it be marijuana, whether it be alcohol or drugs. A lot of people DM me and say, "Hey, bro, I'm struggling. Pray for me. I'm gonna pray for you, bro." Mm-hmm. And I really mean that. But how we had this conversation offline too. Like, I think it's our responsibility to also lead by example.
This is true.
If we want the change, we got to be the change. Mm-hmm. If we want to raise a generation of men, we got to lead the way.
Right.
Jojo has a young son,
mm-hmm.
and I'll be damned if I'm not going to act how I want Jojo to grow up.
Right.
Because I want Jordan to grow up to be a man of honor,
right,
a man of integrity, and a man of character.
Right.
But he's not going to grow up to be that if I'm going to be around looking crazy mm-hmm. and doing crazy things.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying? We in our church have a lot of kids that look up to us.
Yep.
Javen, when he sees me, he gets excited. Yo, Javi, I can't, when we going to play football again? They love playing football with me. They love playing catch.
Right.
They love, when are you coming over so we could go in the pool at TiVo's? Mm-hmm. Like, they see that we are invested in them and they get attracted by that.
Right.
So I have to be a positive role model for those children. I have an 8-year-old who's my surrogate son because my brother's in prison.
Right.
Who he looks up to me, and I got to be a positive influence.
Right.
You know what I mean? So us as men, if we're going to raise a generation of men of honor, it starts with us.
Right.
Because if it's not going to be us, then who? And if it's not now, then when? You know what I'm saying?
And it's so true, bro. Because working with youth in the short time that I did, I realized, bro, kids don't do what they hear; they do what they see. And a lot of parents, they always came back up to me like, "I don't know where you learned that." And I'm like, I'm looking at the problem right in my face. Like, they're learning this from home, right? Because we live in a culture today where everybody loves everyone's lives and focusing on everyone's problems except their own, right? And we have a saying where I'm from is, the world would be a lot cleaner if everyone swept in front of their house first.
Talk about it.
The world would be a lot cleaner because I realized this more and more. I think it was during the last year's election when everybody was a political guru. And I realized that people were more concerned with what's going on in the White House than their own house, right? So it's some things in life where you have to look within, right? You can't change what's going on a political level.
No.
At least I can't, but I can change what happens in my own community. I can change what happens in my own home, but people don't focus on these things. They focus on, this is a bad school, right? This is a bad school because the resources are bad. Right. And not to get onto different topics, but I say that to say, like, it starts within. It starts home. It's not exterior, but it's interior.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when you start tackling what happens in the interior, your exterior is going to flourish.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And so when I started dealing with mental health, I had no idea where to even start because I didn't have, the resources or the right men around me to show me what it is to struggle and what the struggle really looks like and where it can lead you. Mm-hmm. So you start believing the narratives that play in your head.
Right.
And because I was also drinking excessively at the time, I got to a place where alcohol made me think very low of myself. Mm-hmm. It put me in a really dark place where I didn't see the value in me. I didn't see my worth, and I was stripping my identity as a man because I just felt like life was not worth living because I don't see any purpose.
Right.
The minute you strip purpose away from a man is where the men start dying.
Yep. That's so true. A man without purpose, some people say he's not a man at all.
Right.
Some people would say that he's just existing. But I share a similar story. I think for me, I know yours was, what was that? Would you say 7 years ago? Or
it's going to be 13 years ago.
13 years,
yeah.
Wow.
13 years. This June will be 13.
Wow. Yeah, man, I realized that my experience was a little bit more recent. I think it happened right after, on the cuff of 2020, mm-hmm. and just being isolated. But to kind of jump right in, bro, I realized that I was in a bad space and I didn't know what I wanted to do when I didn't value my life anymore. Mm. I stopped seeing who I was and I saw who my thoughts believed me to be.
Yeah.
And during that time, bro, I just did not want to live. Mm. And I tell my friends this all the time, and they're like, "Oh man, what happened?" And I try to get them to see the bigger picture because I truly believe, bro, if it's not someone's mom, someone's sister, next week it could be his sister, next week it could be my sister. If we don't speak out on it now, it's only going to continue to grow. And I told him, if I would have followed through with that, we would not be on the phone right now. If I would have followed through with that, we would not have been having this conversation right now. Mm-hmm. But it's by the grace of God. But I think jumping right in, the first step of people realizing is it's not just sadness, right? You are depressed, you are going through it mentally, mm-hmm. and you need to get the help.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what I lack too. Like, again, this is going to be difficult for me to talk about it because for a very, 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 very long time, I suppressed that. Mm-hmm. And I tried to delete that incident off of my brain because after it didn't happen, I kind of sort of came into my senses and I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck was I going to do?
Yeah. And
then I felt into a more deeper depression because now I just felt shame. And then I felt guilt. And I'm like, why would I ever take my own life?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then so it spiraled into something bad until it turned good.
Yeah.
But in that season of my life, it got to a point where it wasn't just sadness, like you said. I was literally depressed.
Yeah.
And I found myself like fired from a job, living on the couch at my parents' house at the time, and wasn't in a relationship anymore because I had broken up. My friend at the time, who I thought was my best friend, stole money from me. Mm. And all these events started happening all in 1 year, dude. And it was just me running away from my problems, me not combating the problems, me not knowing where to go, who to talk to. I had problems trusting people because here I am, got effed over from a dude that called himself a brother,
Right.
did me dirty. Then I break up with my girl. Then I'm not living anywhere because we were living together at the time and I had to dip out because I couldn't stay under that roof.
Right.
And my buddy was like, "Oh, you can stay at my place in the meantime," but that only goes so far.
Right.
And then you have this ego where it's like, "Oh, I got to call my dad now."
Mm-hmm.
And you as a man, you don't want to do that because you have to figure shit out.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I had to swallow my pride and I had to call my dad and I broke down. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Yo, Pop, like I left my girl because she's toxic. I'm going through it. I'm laid off from my job. I'm broke." My dad's like, "Come on over, man. I don't have a room for you, but you can stay in the living room. I got to pull out, and we'll figure some stuff out." And so that was the beginning of like the depression because I was having a lot of sleepless nights on that couch. And I was going out a lot, drinking my sorrows away.
Right.
And that's for those who are listening right now, that's error number one. Don't go to substance. Don't run to the world. Don't run to substance, and don't run to unhealthy people because they'll keep you unhealthy.
That's a fact.
Don't do that because those are the mistakes I made.
Right.
Misery loves company. That's a real thing because I was surrounding myself with miserable people who enable me, who are always down for a good time, always down to go party, always down to go get drunk, go get high. Yep. I started doing that, and that wasn't working.
Yep.
Then I found myself more depressed, more down, sad, not worthy, not able to overcome. I wasn't seeing the light in the tunnel.
Right.
And I just woke up one day and I said, "You know what? I think this world would be better off without me." Because I'm damn near, at the time I was like damn near 30 something years old, and things didn't pop off. You know, I thought at 29 I was going to do this, I thought at 30 I was going to do that, and here I am not doing that. You know what I'm saying? And in my late 20s is where it all stemmed from, because I thought that by 26, 27 I was going to have the house, the wife, possibly a kid by then.
Right.
And then by 30, I thought I was going to have, all my stuff together. And when I started replaying that, it just gave me more fuel to just end it.
Right.
Like, I was literally mad at God, bro. I was like, "God, I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be born. Like, why did you put me out here?" You know what I mean? Like, why did you put me out here?
Right.
For me to feel this pain. And I was feeling so much pain, bro, that I didn't want to feel it no more. So the logical, and I'm putting this in quotations for those who are seeing this on YouTube, the logical thing for me to do is just to take my life. You know what I mean? And I was actively trying to figure that out. How am I going to do it?
Right.
What'll be the fastest, quickest way for me to do it?
Yep.
And I'm going to, leave a note for my parents, assure them that it wasn't their fault, that they tried their best, and everything's going to be okay.
Right. With
me not a part of this world. And one night, I remember it was a summer, like 13 years ago, because it'll be in June. I just took my car. I said, I'm just gonna go get smashed and see what happens. Whether I'm gonna jump off a bridge or lay in the train tracks, it'll be easy, painless, because it'd be so quick. And I went downtown by myself, sat in a bar, maxed out my credit card at the bar, and I was pretty plastered. And I remember I was still conscious. I was still coherent. I didn't black out, because I remember like certain moments. Like I remember talking to the bartender. I remember going on my phone and checking social media and leaving cryptic messages on Facebook. I remember all that. And I was avoiding people reaching out to me that night specifically. I remember a buddy of mine texted me. He's like, "Yo, what are you doing? And what did you mean about this? Why'd you say that on your Facebook? Ha ha ha, LOL." Didn't reply. And then time came, and I was like, "Okay, this is it." I had a good run, and it was crazy to even find the logic in that. You know what I'm saying? But I was so unhealthy mentally, emotionally, and spiritually because I definitely gave up on the walk with the Lord. I was a fairly baby Christian. And this message needs to be out because even Christians are not exempt from trying to commit suicide.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So I want to push this narrative that just because you call yourself a Christian, you're not exempt from suicidal thoughts.
Right.
And so I couldn't figure out this whole faith thing, and I'm just like, yo, I don't even know, bro. Like, it's not even for me. This world ain't for me. I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just better off just not feeling this anymore. I'm having way too many sleepless nights, bro. And I remember walking out the bar and just walking towards the train tracks because I'm like, I'd rather just do it on the train tracks because I don't feel like walking to the bridge. And I remember kind of feeling like, I remember feeling numb, but I remember feeling like remorse, if that makes sense. Like I was just being remorseful. Right. I was under the influence. So I was just having these different feelings and emotions just explode within me.
Right.
And I was drunk, but still coherent and still able to navigate through like conversations that I would have with the bartender and person that was sitting next to me and all these other things. And then as I'm walking, I bump into this homeless man, and he was asking me for change. And I told him, "Yo, my brother, I don't got change, but I'm just not good right now, and I don't feel like talking to anybody. So excuse me." And he's like, "What's wrong, brother? What's wrong?" He's like, "Why you look like you're about to cry, man?" And I was. At that point, I was ready to cry, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just tired of hurting, bro." Yeah, and I was like, "Yo, God bless you, man, because you're out here and you seem chipper. You seem, I feel like I got more than you,
right? And
you seem like you're very positive." And I was like, "Why is that, bro?" Because I was hating on him. I was envying his joy. He brought joy. He brought joy around his situation.
Yep.
And I tell you, to this day, that's my angel, bro. That was an angel from God. Had I not bumped into that man and had a conversation with that man, I probably would have offed myself.
Right.
Like, real talk, keeping it a buck with y'all. And so he started just like downloading these thoughts and things in my brain, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what is this man saying? And then he asked me the question that I will never forget till this day, bro. He was like, "Yo, do you believe in God?" And I'm like, "What did you say?" I was literally like thrown off. Like, I was beside myself. I'm like, right. What does this man say to me? Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Yo, do you believe in God?" He's like, "Because God is good and he's good all the time. And I don't know what you are about to do, my boy, but whatever it is that you're doing, it doesn't look good." And I'm like, "How do you know what I'm about to do?" It was just crazy. He was literally prophetically seeing some things and speaking life over me at the same time, knowing that I was going to do something.
Right.
And I'm like, this is only God. This is only God.
Right.
So because he stumped me with the word, the living word,
yep.
and he used a specific God, and that name was Jesus, I was like, "What you know about Jesus?" Mm-hmm. And this guy got all evangelical with me. he just was an evangelist to the core, and he led me to Christ again. And I started crying. I started sobbing. I said, "Man, I gotta call somebody." And he said, "Man, if you can walk with me, we can go to this after hours restaurant that serves food, and we can eat food, but you're gonna have to pay." And I was like, "Brother, you saved my life.
Yeah.
I'll be gladly to buy you a meal." So we broke bread. I sobered up, and around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, I said my goodbyes to him, and I thanked him, and I told him, "I'm probably never going to see you again, brother, but I'm extremely in debt with you, and if I do ever see you again, I hope I'll be able to bless you in any capacity." I haven't seen him since, but I'll know when I do see him, and it's going to be a very emotional day for me if I do ever see this man again. Right. But that's my story, bro. I got home. I didn't write the letter that I was planning on writing. And I got home that night and I fell asleep, and I woke up distraught and resentful with myself. And I woke up with a lot of regret and a lot of shame. And I made it my mission to hide that story, because I was looked at by my peers as this happy-go-lucky guy that always made sure everyone was okay. I always put everyone first before me. I was just that dude. I always made sure everybody was having a good time, and I was straight. No one really checked on me. I didn't even check on me. I made sure everybody around me was good. Right. And so I was always known as the positive party goer, always chipper, always smiling, but I was hiding my depression through my smile and my way of interacting with people. And because I created this mask, I didn't want to take that mask off, because I didn't want people to see that I struggled with my mental health and that I was going to off myself, because I saw it as a sign of weakness. Right. And I didn't want to be looked at as that. But after COVID and after seeing my therapist was always encouraging me. He's like, "Yo, this is a story you need to tell, because it's not only going to be therapeutic for you, it is going to free somebody." Right. So I hope that what I just said can free somebody and liberate someone from the shackles that were self-inflicted. You know, because we sometimes put on those shackles. Right. We sometimes put on that straitjacket, and we're running out here crazy. Right. You know what I mean? So that's my story, man, and I hope that people get freed from that. That's true. I love you, bro. I love you too, bro. Yeah, man. We're I can say on behalf of everybody, we're happy you're still here. Hallelujah to the King. Right. And I think that's a statement in itself, because it shows a lot of people are ashamed, and I was once ashamed too. And I reached to a point where I had to get help, and I realized that you're only weak if you stay where you are. You're only strong if you realize that you need the help. And I had to take that step. But in my life, I've been there quite a few times. I think the worst mistake I made is not getting help and burying it. I just remember a lot of people know my story, but I just was around a lot of people, and I was partying, and I thought they were my friends, but I realized they were here for a good time, not a long time. And I just lost my job, and my back was against the wall, and I didn't have anywhere to go. I found myself sleeping at Dunkin' Donuts, and I was there for quite some time, just 24-hour Dunkin' Donuts, and I would just lay my head down and get some rest, and then I wake up, take a sink shower, and I got a job at Starbucks, and I would walk to work, and I just kept doing it. And the more I did it, the more angry I became with God. And that's the first thing I wanted to cover tonight, is because when I tell this story, people are like, how could you be mad at God? But I was so angry with him because, like you said, I was like, I didn't ask to be here. And one thing I realized in my journey is that
God didn't only create us for devotion, but he created us with emotion. And sometimes in life, it's okay to share those emotions with God. And I remember I'm walking in the bridge. This is near, I don't know if you know what Rockin' Angels is. It used to be a place called Rockin' Angels, but I'm walking, I'm about to cry past the bridge. And I remember sitting there and I'm like, this is it. Once I get to this bridge, I'm going to jump off. And I just had enough of life, bro. I reached a point where I was super angry. But then my friend Seth called me, and he was like, I basically told him what's going on. And he was like, you can come live with me. And I never thought about that day again. I was like, okay, that day is behind me. But it wasn't until after 2020 when it resurfaced. And I believe at that time, all those emotions hit me at once. And I was just going through a lot mentally then. Then it wasn't physical circumstances. It wasn't financial circumstances. I feel like I was around a lot of people, but I didn't have community. I feel like people saw me, but they couldn't hear me. And I remember I was doing speaking engagements. I think I had done 8 that year, and COVID happened. And that's when isolation hit me. And I realized that we all were created to live life for ourselves, but we're not designed to live life by ourselves.
That's a fact.
And during that time, bro, it hit me hard. And I just remember I isolated and just pushed everybody out. And I stopped going to church. And I remember Franklin, he texted me. He actually texted me and he was like, hey, man, I want to put you back on the offering setup. I miss you and I love you. And I said, I just blamed it on work. I was like, I can't because of work. He kept texting me every week. And finally, I just told him, hey, man, I'm going through some stuff mentally. And I feel like I'm not the person or the man to be on stage. But it was in those moments again, bro, that I had suicidal ideation. I thought about taking my life again. I'm like, I just don't want to be here. I do not want to live. And that's when I realized I just needed to get help, bro. And it's tough to talk about, but it's like you said, these conversations free other people. And I was so scared to talk about it because I'm supposed to be a great speaker, this glorious person who can walk into a room and light the day. And but I realized I'm not a superhero. And I don't have to do the job of Jesus.
Right.
It is our job to have the conversation. It is God's job to bring revelation and transformation.
Facts.
And I feel like in my life and the people around me, I was constantly playing Jesus, which led me to where I got. But I will say it is in that time where I found true community. And I realized I need to get help, and I did that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think we sometimes try to mask our pain with other things,
right?
And we try to live up to people's perception of us.
Right.
And I always thought that people saw me as this, person that is a super Christian and he's such a great guy. And then you start kind of saying to yourself, like, I'm no superhero, bro.
Nope.
And I'm not wearing a cape,
Nope.
And when you start going through the motions without really hitting the root of the problem, you start pouring out of an empty cup. And when you are not being poured into, when there's no community, no type of accountability, and no type of mentorship,
right,
I believe that when you don't have those things, your mind will easily take you to death, whether it's killing you spiritually or at worst, kill you physically. And you came close to that. I most certainly came close to that. And it's when you start pouring out of an empty cup is where it all begins, bro. Because when you are empty, you can't pour into people.
No, you cannot.
And when you force it, it literally depletes you. And it most definitely defeats you spiritually.
Right.
Like your spiritual, tank is at E. It's blinking red. And you're not going to the gas station, which is the source, the source is being Jesus, and you're not being filled. And the only way that you can fill yourself is by having community, by attending church, and by showing up. Because once you show up, God will show up and show out
That's a fact.
on your behalf.
That's a fact.
And once you start getting filled, he's not only going to fill you, he's going to make sure that you are placed in the position where you're in the overflow of his love and grace. And I think to get to the overflow, you have to do the practical things, like having conversations, like reaching out to a fellow brother, like not being afraid anymore. Because the most courageous thing that a man could ever do is shouting for help. It's not courageous to suck it up. That's not courage, bro. The world will tell you that it's courage, but it's not. People will say that's not an alpha male. Like you gotta scratch that. Keep it moving. Dust yourself off. Brush your shoulders off. Go get it. No, man. We're not dogs. We're not dogs, man. It's inhumane to tell. I feel, and I know I'm getting a little deep, but it's inhumane to tell another brother in Christ to get up, brush your shoulders off, and go get it. Nah, man. That's a soul that's attached to a heart, that's attached to a spirit, and that's a child of God. And you can't tell that man to suck it up and go get it, because you don't know what silent storms he's battling. You don't know what thoughts he's struggling with. You don't know what he's carrying. Because a lot of us men, and JoJo will attest to this, we sometimes as men will carry burdens that we have no business carrying. But yet we do it anyway because we feel that that's the manly thing.
And that's the biggest thing, bro. I think men are expected to have the answers and the right responses to every problem that life throws at them. And it made me realize this, bro. During that time, and even talking about it now, it makes me realize the power of community. I'll never forget, I went to get an oil change, and I walk in and I tell the guy I want an oil change. He says, "What are you getting?" I say, "Full synthetic oil." He gives me full synthetic oil, takes my car back. I'm just waiting on it because, when you get an oil change, the first thing they come back with this long list of things. "Oh, we're doing the oil, but we noticed." So he's like, "I noticed the transfibrillator was good." I said, "Just the oil change, my boy. That's all I want to get done today." And he said, as I was pulling it back, it was driving weird. He asked me, "What do you put in your car?" I drive an old Infiniti, and I told him I put the regular one, which is 87. And he said, "That's what it is. For your car, you have to put 93 in if you want the best performance." And I realized in life, we have to be very careful who we drive with in life, because sometimes we associate ourselves with 87 people. They have 87 mindsets, 87 personality traits, 87 ambitions, when we're designed for premium. We're designed for premium mindsets, premium places in life. And I realized it's like, why dwell amongst these people when you want to go better? So the first thing I changed in life was I found community, but I got the right community. Because a lot of times in life, we talk about getting community, but it's not the right community. And I realized I was not focused on direction anymore. I didn't want to be around people who were just going in the right direction with me. I wanted to be with people who are reaching the same altitudes as me. And once I did that, bro, my life changed for the better. I started associating myself with you, TiVo, and I just saw it, bro. Your life can change right before your eyes, who you spend your time with.
And it's crazy that it ties into the title of this episode, Protect Your Brain. We got to protect each other, bro.
That's a fact.
We have to protect each other. It has to be a mission statement. Like, yo, I'm gonna protect you, bro. I'm gonna protect you. I know that your mental health matters. I know your mental health matters. And I could only pray that love is reciprocated back to me, because I want people to protect me from myself. I hope that this conversation will save people from themselves, because someone who was an unlikely, who by culture standards and societal standards is marginalized, oppressed, and not worth anything, that's living in the streets, came to me and spoke life into me. You know what I mean? And I will never forget that night, ever. I will never forget it. And now I'm more comfortable with talking about it, because I know that it will protect someone, it will preserve someone to live, even if it's to live another day. It's good that you're living another day, because if you are awake right now and you're listening to the sound of my voice, man, congratulations, you made it, man.
You made it.
Because someone didn't wake up today. You know, you are a warrior, you are a trooper, and if anyone is telling you different, get away from that energy, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's exactly what you just echoed is it's all about who you're surrounding yourself with.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to strive for excellence, you have to be around excellent people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you want to have success in life, you got to surround yourself with successful people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm all for protecting each other, and I'm all for doing the things that needs to be done and the conversations that needs to be had
Right.
to protect your brain,
Right.
to protect his brain and my brain, because our brain is such a powerful thing, and it shouldn't be treated lightly. I do believe that mental health awareness and therapy shouldn't be a luxury item. A lot of people would use the excuse that I can't afford therapy, and it sucks that we live in a country that mental health and therapy is treated like a luxury item.
Right.
It's like, why is it so unattainable to the common folk? Why is it only a rich people thing?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Or people that have insurances. I was blessed to have insurance that covers that.
Right.
That's why I am so adamant about, you know, going to therapy and encouraging others to do that too.
Right. And that's the biggest thing that I feel we're kind of obligated to talk about during this conversation, because a lot of this was storytelling and inspiration, but now we get to talk about application. Mm-hmm. So if you're at home or whatever you're doing right now, I want to share with you this. It's called openpath.com. So basically how it works is you pay a fee and you search the therapist, whatever the specific therapy you're looking for. And it's super affordable. It's in between $40 to $60. But that's kind of that's the route I've been going down. And I will say, man, I feel like it is harder. It is harder for someone from my background to find a therapist, because it's a matter of things finding someone who is culturally competent and culturally receptive. Because my upbringing, some people won't understand the things that I've had to endure. Even I sometimes have to tell my mom, like, some of the things that we were taught are not healthy. Right? Growing up in a household where you'd be like, I'm depressed. And they're like, depressed in dishes. Right? You ain't got nothing to be depressed about. All you got to do is focus on school and get good grades.
Right.
But during that time, I didn't realize that. So for the people at home, you have Open Path. But I really want to encourage you. If there is a wall standing between the life you want and where you are right now, you want to break through that, it starts by removing one brick at a time. Facts. The worst thing you can do with mental health and depression is try to break through the wall by yourself. I guarantee you will fail, right? So for me, the first thing I did is realize and get to a place that I needed help. I accepted that I needed help. The second thing that I did was, after I got help, was I started surrounding myself. I found the power of community. After that, I set 3 simple goals for that day. And those goals were very simple. Today I will get out of bed. Today I will take a shower. Today I will actually get 8 hours of sleep. I think sometimes we just try to eradicate the problem in its entirety, and that's not the answer. Number 4 out of 5, I would encourage you to find an activity or stay active. Yeah. Take on a new skill, learn something new, anything to kind of get you outside of your comfort zone and out of the house. I think will be good. And number 5, most importantly, is what we're doing now. Once you get to a place where you can pour back into people, start doing it again. Start volunteering again. Start serving at your church again. Because you have to realize the same place that you were at, there's someone at now, and you're the solution, and you need the help. That's a fact. Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that. I mean, it is important for especially men, especially men. I find myself saying it almost every episode of this show. Right. Get yourself with the right people, with the right group of men, and start a group. Meet every Tuesday, whatever day y'all choose. Mine happens to be on a Monday. I look forward to Mondays. Let me tell you something. Jojo will attest to that too. Before Jojo even got into this group, and then he became part of the group,
he would text me and be like, bro, I actually look forward for Mondays.
Right.
Because Mondays aren't the same when I don't go.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel the same way. Like, I haven't missed a Monday in a long time, but when I do miss a Monday, it just feels different. You know, you feel like you're missing out on things, because the conversations that we have are so powerful,
Right.
are so liberating, so insightful, even to hear other men talk about Jesus, talk about how they moved in their life, or how God showed up the other day at work when they did this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy how people's little stories in a micro level would impact us, but at the same time, in a macro level, will equip us to infiltrate the world in our sphere that we're at, whether it be in a school, at your job place, or wherever you're at. You're actually empowered to walk in that authority,
right.
and be like, hey, I walk and talk a little different because I love Jesus. Mm-hmm. That conversation is not going to be had until you start walking a certain way, talking a certain way. I remember Jose told me a story. You were at a client's house, and they somehow
gave a word of what was it? It was you can't change what you can't control.
Mm.
And then he gave me the serenity prayer, and I was like,
yeah,
I'm just like typing paperwork.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
but that's God,
Yep.
you know, showing up and showing out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's so cool to see God move in certain pockets of our day.
Yeah.
You know, he will reveal himself in such a subtle, yet beautiful and cunning way.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that you miss out when you don't have a group to go to and talk life into each other. You miss out on those things. You miss out on stories. You miss out on experiences. You miss out on what happened over the weekend, because we do meet on a Monday. We're always recapping our weekends. Like, how was your weekend? What'd you do? And someone will always have something to say. And the fact that we actually are actively reading the gospel right now. We're in the book of John right now. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we are doing it in unison and doing it collectively and talking about what jumped out at us in that reading is also great dialogue, man. Right. Because there's always something to talk about. So I encourage people to definitely go back when you find yourself in that place where you're healing or you're healed. Pour into someone. If you already have the capacity and you're in that overflow that we talked about, when you're in that overflow, bro, it's only right for you to pour into someone else's cup. Because someone out there that's going to church and attending church are probably just there, but not really mentally there. You know, because they're walking in with an empty cup. And they are afraid or scared or ashamed of talking their feelings. Right. Or about their feelings.
Right. So that's where it is, bro. And if I can leave anybody with anything, what you have to realize, and I think the thing that impacted me the most was realizing that I wasn't created to look for the light at the end of the tunnel. I was created to be the light in the tunnel. And once I accepted and embraced that I'm not waiting for tomorrow to get joy. Right. I'm not waiting for tomorrow to get the things that belong to me and the things that I desire and deserve to have. Mm-hmm. I'm getting those today. My life changed drastically. I remember I wrote 4 sentences on my mirror and I memorized them. It was something along the lines of, I matter. My life is worth living. I will make a difference. And the world is better with me in it. So if you can memorize that and put that on your thing, that you matter, your life is worth living, you will make a difference, and the world is better with you in it, I think it changes your aspect of your life and just your mindset in general.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll put you in a place of gratitude because now you're grateful that you are living. Yep. You're grateful that you do have the friends that you have. Yep. You're grateful that you have the pastor that you have, the church that you're in. All these things fall in line. Yep. You know what I mean? So you matter. Jojo, you matter. Mm-hmm. You matter so much in my life. You matter so much in my life because you were there behind the scenes when I was going through some stuff. You know what I mean? When I was going through some stuff relationally, when I was going through some stuff physically, when my mom got sick, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that I share with my boys because I want to reciprocate that back whenever, because life is going to happen regardless. We are going to get into something. You know, we pray that we, you know, are covered in the, with the blood of Christ, we're covered and nothing's going to happen to us or our loved ones, but life is going to be life and things are going to happen. And, you know, there might be hospital visits, you know, knock on wood, but life is going to be life. And when life becomes life and things become real and things get real, I want to make sure that I'm by your side. I want to make sure that you know, that I'm able to communicate with you. I want to make sure that you're good. I want to make sure that I'm involved in whatever it is that you're dealing with. I want to walk with you in that. I want to walk with my fellow brothers in the desert if you find yourself in there. You know what I mean? So is there anything that we missed? Anything else?
I feel like we covered everything. I just hope that everybody who's listening to this leaves inspired, encouraged, and ready to tackle on life. And most importantly, the world is better with you in it. It just wouldn't be the same without you.
Absolutely.
Thinking about taking your life, you can call me, you can call Javi.
Yeah, and I'll leave the resources on the links too, like the suicidal hotline, mental health website. I'll leave the resources on the links on the description. I'll definitely make sure I do leave that. But yeah, you know, you could always DM us, DM me, if you want prayer. You know, I'm always down for that too. As most of the day one listeners know, I don't take prayer lightly. That's a game changer. I always tell people prayer should never be our last resort. It should always be the first line of defense. It should never be the last resort. And a lot of us treat prayer as that. It's like that break in case of emergency thing. It's like your prayer life should never be breaking in case of emergency. Your prayer life should be a consistent one, and should be an everyday one. I pray every morning, bro, and every night. Like that's my thing. Like I'm praying in the morning, I'm praying somewhere along during the day, and I'm praying at night, man. Because God is too good for you not to communicate with him.
That's a fact.
So we did it. We got another one.
It's another one.
We got another one. This is 63, ladies and gentlemen.
63.
You should be back. You should be back soon. I want you to be back soon, whether it be 67, 68, or 70. I need you back, bro, because you add value to this. I hold you near and dear to my heart. I feel like our relationship is growing.
Yes, sir.
We're getting closer and closer. Same with JoJo. I mean, I know JoJo the least, but I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to this man, because this man's is a stud, and he's been nothing but great in my life, and he's a blessing. So
love you, bro.
Love you too, bro. Hey, we did it. But as always, to my first time listeners, or if you've been listening for a while, weekly show. You're probably listening this on a Saturday, February the 4th, because we decided that it would be it'll be great for us to get it out there on the weekend, because you know people do things in the weekends. If you want to listen to it on the drive to your grocery store or the drive to the gym, you want to put in your earbuds in and do whatever you guys do on the weekend. Please, man, share this if you're moved, if you feel that someone could benefit from this conversation. Please share, like, comment. It definitely helps with the algorithm. But aside from the algorithm, like, there's people's lives at stake.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? There's literally people's lives at stake. People are struggling out there. I've had conversations after the pandemic. I've had conversations, bro, where people didn't know what the heck was up from down because they were dealing with their thoughts. They had nowhere to go because the world was shut down. The gyms were even closed. And that's people's outlets, or the gyms, the parks. Things were shut down and they had to deal with their ugliness. And it's okay to deal with those ugliness. It's just not okay to do it on your own. So if you learn anything from this conversation, just know that you're not alone, that there's someone out there that matters to you. And you just need to open up with more dialogue. and get the help that you need. Again, we're going to leave those resources in the description below. And we love you.
Hey, we love you.
Till the next time. We love you. Peace.
Peace.